when a small nation refused to disappear. The Soviet-Afghan War. In the winter of 1979, the mountains of Afghanistan watched something they had seen many times before, a great empire arriving with tanks, helicopters, and certainty. The Soviet Union, one of the strongest military powers on Earth, crossed the border claiming it had come to help. Help restore order. Help protect socialism. Help secure peace. To the world, the reasons sounded reasonable. To the villagers living among the rocks and valleys, it felt like something older and more familiar occupation. One of those villagers was a farmer named Ahmad. Ahmad had never held a rifle before the war. His hands knew wheat, stone, and prayer beads, not weapons. His village had no electricity, no paved roads, and no interest in global ideologies like communism or capitalism. What they cared about was land, faith, family, and dignity. But everything changed after the 1978 coup and the Soviet invasion that followed. The new communist government, backed by Soviet power, tried to force rapid reforms on a deeply traditional society. Religious leaders were silenced. Customs were dismissed as backward. Villagers were told how to live by people who did not know their language or their mountains. Resistance began quietly. It did not begin in capitals or command rooms. It began in homes, mosques, and mountain paths. Farmers, former soldiers, village elders, and religious students slowly became something else. Mujahideen, not professional soldiers, but people defending what they believed was theirs. They faced an enemy that had everything they did not. The Soviets had tanks, jets, helicopters, and one of the most advanced armies in the world. Ahmad and men like him had old rifles, little training, and harsh terrain. On paper, this was not a war, it was a mismatch. But wars are not won on paper. The Mujahideen understood something the Soviet generals did not. You do not have to defeat a superpower. You only have to make it impossible for them to win. They fought differently. They did not hold territory. They did not fight head-on. They used patience as a weapon. They struck quickly, then vanished into mountains they had known since childhood. Winter, altitude, dust, and distance became their allies. Time became their shield. Years passed. The Soviets won battles, but lost belief. Soldiers were sent to fight a war their own people increasingly questioned. Coffins returned home. Costs rose. International criticism grew. What was supposed to be a short intervention became a 10-year struggle. Ahmad survived years of fighting without medals, without glory. He lost friends, cousins, neighbors. His village was damaged. His country suffered deeply. But in 1989, something historic happened. The Soviet Union withdrew. The strongest army in the region left Afghanistan, not because it was militarily destroyed, but because it was politically exhausted, morally isolated, and unable to justify the cost any longer. The world called it an Afghan victory. History recorded a powerful lesson. A great power can win militarily and still lose politically and forever. Yet the story does not end in celebration. Afghanistan paid a terrible price. The land was shattered. Internal wars followed. Extremist groups emerged. Peace did not arrive with victory. As one painful truth later became clear, a weak nation may win a war, but its people may still lose peace. Still, Ahmad's story and Afghanistan's matters. It teaches the world that power does not guarantee legitimacy. Technology cannot replace understanding. Time can defeat strength. Identity, belief, and patience can outlast empires. And perhaps the most important lesson of all, the greatest victory is not winning a war, but knowing when and how to end one. The highest form of strength is to win without firing the last bullet. History remembers the Soviet-Afghan War not as a triumph of weapons, but as a reminder that even the smallest nations, when united by purpose, cannot be erased. Empires pass. Mountains remain.